Okay.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's Trish. I'm here with Dorinda and Heidi. We are the mentoring moms from Hip Homeschool Moms. Hey, Heidi. Hey, Dorinda.
Hey,
How are y'all?
Trish.
Hello,
Doing
everybody.
doing good.
Very good. So, Dorinda, introduce yourself. I know we do this every week, but do it again, just for those that are new.
Well, I'm Dorinda from Simple Nourishing Home. I've been married 25 years, have 8 kids, 3 graduated, 2 married, and third grandbaby on the way. So the second one was born 4 weeks ago. So
Yay.
having fun with that.
No doubt.
Yeah, he's
Heidi.
awesome.
Oh, Heidi here, starts at 8. That's where you can find me blogging. I am mom to 3, one high school, one middle school, and one elementary school. No grandbabies, given that my oldest is only 15.
This is a good thing.
This is a good thing, yes. So, no grandbabies here. Um, what else can I
And you
say?
blog about high school.
I blog about high school. I do a lot of more elementary unit studies, but high school seems to be kind of my focus as it was a new big venture for me last year when my first hit freshman year, and I kind of felt like a newbie all over again. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
But you have tackled that thing, let me
I
tell you.
have. I jumped in with 2 feet, as I call it, and just I take it one day at a time, one thing at a time.
And I'm Trish. My blog is Live and Learn Farm, and it's completely, totally dead right now. I haven't written in like 2 months, so everything I'm doing is over on Hip Homeschool Moms, so you can find me there. And I am mom to 3 boys. I've been married for, gosh, how long have I been married? My oldest is 14, and it was 3 years, so 17 years. And isn't that sad? Isn't that how you have to?
Do the math.
Am I the only one that has to add it up like that?
Well, I did this year, but yeah, sometimes I do have to go, I want to
That's sad. Anyway, and I guess that's it. When I blog, I write a lot about hands-on kinesthetic learning. So anyway, that's us. So
Everybody should know, Trish, that you are the woman behind Hip Homeschool Moms here. You're the driving force behind the community, behind the Facebook page, and you do a lot for those things that people don't see. So
yeah.
the reason she's not on her blog as much is because she does so much to keep the Facebook side here of Hip Homeschool Moms running.
Yes.
So
thank you.
Works very hard.
Thank you. Thank you. It is. It's fun though. It's a labor of love, right? I think we all do it because we love it.
That's right.
Anyway, okay, so we have got a ton of questions. Let's see, where do we want to start? Dorinda, you posted several of these. Is there one you want to start with?
Oh, the one about someone was talking about being insecure about their teaching abilities and in a panic about teaching her little boy how to read step by step. And
Okay.
I think I come more from, I noticed that a lot of the comments, it was great because so many of you moms went and helped, came alongside this mom and answered her questions with your own perspective of what you used for teaching your kids to read, and we all just, you can tell, we're just also vast and varied, and hopefully she was able to find something that will work well for her. But I come more from the perspective of just wanting to encourage you as a mom that you are capable of teaching your child to read. I think about, we don't think twice about teaching our children to talk. We don't think twice about teaching them to walk. There's so many things up to what we in our minds consider school age or education, and all of a sudden we freak out and think, I can't do this. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Just keep doing what you've been doing. You've been nurturing your child. You've been seeing what he wants to learn, and you've been meeting that need so far. Just keep doing that. And having all those moms answer the questions and give ideas, those are some great resources to draw from. But I just encourage you to not to freak out, and just to remember that you're this little boy's mom and you are a perfect teacher for him. And so just relax. That would be my advice. Biggest piece of advice is relax and enjoy your little boy and just have fun with him, and I guarantee you he's going to learn. So you can do this.
I think something like reading is a big topic because we have this big milestone. It's kind of like tying your shoes. And for those of us that had kids that went to school, It was like if your kindergartner was not tying their shoes, there was something wrong with them.
Yes.
They were supposed to be tying their shoes. I'm sure I've told this story 8,000 times, you know,
You told
because
it last week. That's the reason why we're
Yep.
giggling.
That's
because
why
it
we're
was
laughing.
because it was stressful. And so, you know, and people have this, you know, this arbitrary number on reading. Like Dorinda said, you have this kind of mindset of the school age things that are supposed to be taught by school that somehow we're incapable of teaching them. And you know, and with reading, it's this other mindset of when kids should be reading. You know, I think
Right.
moms need to remember that there isn't necessarily a set time to read. That if your 6 or 7 year old is not reading, it's not panic time.
Right.
That you know, there's a process to learning. And like with the shoelaces, my son didn't tie his shoes forever. Just, you know, and he wasn't ready. And when he was, it was like that. And
Yep.
with reading, I had all early readers. I had all readers that read well and easily, and that was just the way it was for us. And but you know, each of my kids kind of learned differently and liked different aspects, which is why, like Dorinda said, there's so many suggestions in the comments of this one of different ways that people have done it. And I think it's a matter of looking at what people have done and trying some of the suggestions and seeing what fits for you and the child that you're, you know, that you're working with.
Yeah, and the problem is that if you're stressed, that kind of ruins everything. I mean, he's going to feel that, and you're not going to enjoy the process, and it's going to be difficult to focus on learning if you're stressed that you think he's not where he should be. And so just throw all that to the wayside and find something that works for you guys and follow his lead. If I remember right, I think he was a pretty little guy, maybe 6, and that's definitely not the time to panic, you know.
And Dorinda, you
So
mentioned last week that I think it's valuable of the unintended message that you send your children. You were referring to math and changing math curriculums.
right.
But I think that we do send a message to our children that they are behind. And that's the last thing you want
Right.
your kids to hear come out of your mouth is that they're not capable or they're behind or they're not up to par in some way. And none of us would, I don't think, intentionally do that, but I think we can do it by our message and even just our body language and getting freaked out like you were talking about. So,
Right.
yeah,
If our
I
kids are
agree.
behind, I'm doomed. You just say, okay? I'm doomed. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I'm teaching things to the kids and I am second guessing every bit of it and going, oh, what was that? I'm doing atoms, and so we're doing protons, neutrons, electrons in an atom with my 8-year-old and my 11-year-old, and I, of course, said it wrong again. The atomic number is not protons and neutrons; it's protons and electrons. It's like because the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So if our kids are behind, I'm doomed because I don't remember all that stuff. I mean, I may have learned it. You know, it's like the big joke about are you smarter than a fifth grader? You know, it's, you know, you can't remember everything. You know, for me, it's always been more important about teaching the process of learning, about
That's
how
right.
to. And once you get the basics of reading, writing, math, you can learn, you can teach, you know, yourself, your children, pretty much anything. You know, once you get those basics down. And so I don't know, you know, I know it's easy to compare and feel behind, and I do it with my own kids sometimes too. But like I said, the tying shoes thing was a real turning point for me when my second one was little, because I was just like, really, why does he need to tie his shoes now?
Well, you know, that question that you brought up, Dorinda, it really there's a bunch of them like that in the group right now. I don't know if you've been in there this morning, but there's at least 3 moms in there today, right now, saying I'm ready to throw the towel in.
Oh
So
gosh.
it's you
For
know
reading?
Hmm?
Are you talking about specifically for reading? They're ready to
No,
throw this in?
no, they're ready to throw in the towel for
Just in
homeschooling.
general. Yeah,
I
just in
think it's
general.
Just
I
for
think it's
various reasons.
just overwhelmed. You know, things aren't going the way they planned. We're not, you know, it's not as smooth as they thought it might be or should be or could be or would be.
Well,
And
I have a story I can throw in here that, I talked about a couple weeks ago. Our boys are taking a biology course, and remember, they were being completely overloaded by
yeah,
this teacher, and they've gone and talked to her a couple times, and she says, oh, yeah, okay, but she is not changing anything. And so I ended up pulling them out, and I'm going to be doing it at home, but my point in all that is she reminded me of us homeschool moms sometimes when we have too high of expectations. We overplan, overschedule what we're going to teach our kids and what we think our kids are going to learn in that amount of time. And we have to be flexible. This teacher
I do
wasn't.
it every year.
Yeah.
Every single year. Somebody just needs to take my work plan every year and cut it. I mean, literally, just, okay, Trish, take these 2 courses off right now and just know that you're not going to teach them. So just take them off the plate. I do it every year. I don't know why I have to do it every year, but I have to do this every year.
Well,
So
and I
thank
think
you, Brenda.
after a while, you do start to get a gut feeling as you're writing that stuff out. You're thinking, okay, this is feeling like too much. And you hopefully scale back, but that's a process. It's something we all have to learn. And so that whole thing of being overwhelmed, I definitely am all for simplifying. I think the thing that threw me over the edge was not just the amount of homework. I mean, this would have to be the only class they did because she had hours and hours and hours and hours of homework, and it just wasn't reasonable. And my kids are not unintelligent. Like, they were taking it on and really trying to do it, but it was so frustrating. So that didn't work out for them to stay in that class, but what threw me over the edge and made me pull them out was as I opened up the textbook and I looked at the material. It was incredibly complex, and I thought, these kids are going to walk away with nothing because they are overstimulated with too much information. I want them to walk away with the basics of biology and be able to hang on to that for the rest of their life, but they can't do that if they're overstimulated. They're just going to plow through it, try to get through it, try to make it through, and they're going to learn nothing, and that defeats the whole purpose of what we're doing here.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, you're talking about that whole thing, and we have a question here. I see. What do you do to simplify when you feel really burnt on a daily basis? And this mom says, I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, which is kind of what we're talking about being burnt and needing to simplify. For me, I cut out the extra stuff, so to speak. Like, I may keep our basics of math and science or whatever, but I cut out some of the extras. Our kids are doing. Some of my kids are working on a Spanish program. Some are working on keyboarding. Maybe extra literature that they're reading or doing something with. I cut that stuff out. And this year, I honestly cut out all of our outside activities pretty much for now during the day. We have music lessons. But it got to the point where, and I know Trish and I were talking about the amount of time out of the house just before we went live, it came to a point where we were out of the house every day. And some people, that's the way they love to school. That's the way they choose to school. It's about the activities. It's about, about the classes that you're taking, the interactions that you're having. For me, I still need some nuts and bolts, and being out of the house every day for an activity was just too much, and it was too much for the kids. We run a rigorous schedule at night, so I took out, some of the times we were out of the house. I know some people. To simplify, really, they try and have at least 1 day or 2 days a week where they're not leaving the house and they're not, so that they have time for things. And I feel overwhelmed often, and so I understand this mom talking about needing to simplify and being burnt on a daily basis. I was just saying to my husband, I'm like, yep, I've reached that point in the year already. I've reached that point where I feel like I'm a slave to my schedule. And it's not just for schooling. For us, we do run a very rigorous, sports schedule, so that contributes to it. And so I am feeling that way myself, dear mom of this 13 and 10-year-old. I am feeling this way myself.
Yeah.
I am at the point where I'm just going to take days off.
Yeah. I think that's good, and I was just going to say that, we get so caught up in, I feel overwhelmed, how do I simplify, and that is another thing to do. Put that on the checklist. I need to simplify.
Isn't that the gospel truth?
But what I want to say to you moms is, are you taking care of yourself? Because an empty cup can't give anything. If you're empty, you can't give anything to your kids. And so make sure that you're caring for yourself. You have friendships. You have a little bit of time to yourself to think and just be who you are as a person. We can get so caught up in homeschooling and our kids, and I think moms rock. They are the most amazing people on the planet. How we multitask and care for our kids, we care for other people. It's pretty it's pretty astounding to me when I sit back and think about it. But we do have to take care of ourselves, and we can run ourselves ragged and into the ground, and we are no good to anybody at that point. So, I encourage you to just keep some balance in your life. Time with your husband, time with friends, even if it's just a fun phone call with a friend where you laugh and talk about how things are just going crazy at your house or whatever. You know, a little fresh air, a walk somewhere. So make sure you're eating regularly. Good food regularly on just those tiny little things can make all the difference in the world in how you feel. So I just wanted to throw that in there as kind of a life, balancing life in
Dorinda,
homeschooling.
now you know you left out one of the most important things. Chocolate.
Oh, well, absolutely. I have it every single night. I have chocolate. My kids know, do not touch that chocolate. You will die. And it won't be pretty.
I can't make it all day. I can't make it all day without chocolate. My breakfast has Nutella in it. Have to have it. Have to have it. Years now. The kids
coffee in the morning and chocolate at night.
So now, see, we're getting to the secret now. Y'all were keeping back. Y'all were holding back on these pies.
That's right.
Must have the chocolate.
I'm telling you, but for me, this year I did, look at this crazy hair, y'all. I have got some wild hairs. Look at this.
That's okay.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to tell the truth. I have been outside painting all morning the side of my house. So if you really looked really closely at my hands, do you see that? There's paint there.
Cool.
So I'm running ragged. When we talk about overwhelmed, and
that is a lot of work. Painting is a lot of work.
We are living it. And yesterday in the group, I posted in there. I said, if your husband does construction work,
I saw that
for his money because I'm doing it.
True. But we built the house 5 years ago, and we did a lot of it ourselves. And oh my goodness, yes, they earn their money.
And I know Heidi's real handy like that. It is. Oh my gosh. So we're learning. But back to the question about burnt out. For me, we were talking about every year that I have to put too much in there. This year I didn't. This year is my very first year that I said we're going to do 4 hours a day, and that's what we're doing. And if we don't get that 4 hours a day completed, it's going to go to the next day. I am not going to stress over it. I am not going to worry about it. I threw in a ton of fun stuff. We're doing a ton of that Minecraft, Scrafty stuff this year that they love. And so I really did something different this year. And for me, I agree. You have to take care of yourself. You do have to look at your schedule and see what's going on there, and cut yourself some slack. I mean, we homeschool all year round for this very reason, so that we can have these spots where we just say, okay, you know what? I'm done for the week. I mean, there have been weeks that, on Tuesday, I've said, and it may be this week, y'all, so, but seriously, I'm done. We have to pull back and just stop. We were off, but a couple of weeks already, so I don't feel like I can do it yet. But, I mean, I think we get so caught up in this is what school is supposed to look like, and this is how it's supposed to go. We have all those supposed tos and shoulds and coulds and woulds that we forget that we have the luxury of setting the agenda. We
do. And I think sometimes we forget that there are a lot of things we just do and we don't even think about during the day that do take time, but we don't really count them. Sometimes when I feel like I'm not getting enough done every day, I will at the end of the day write down, usually I have a list of things that I meant to get done that day, and I will write down the things that I did in addition to those things. Or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, like I feel like I'm just chasing my tail and I don't know that I'm actually accomplishing anything, I will write down, I did this today, I did this today. Even the intangible things, like had a conversation with our son about something that was really important. Do you know what? That is important. That is like up there on the priority list. And when I did that, I did something very, very important. And I think we don't acknowledge that sometimes, and we need to stop and think about what we're doing and acknowledge that we are accomplishing a lot every day.
That's so true. We do, and a lot of us like to segment homeschool. Put homeschool in a category and then put mom in a
Right.
category. And in reality, it's not. Mom and homeschool are all one big, huge monster category. And
Right.
so, if you look at
Exactly.
it from that perspective, then we're always going. We're always homeschooling.
Exactly. I have a dilemma this morning, actually. I started bread in my kitchen. Okay. I realize as it's going to rise, that it's just before I'm supposed to get on mentoring moms, and I'm not going to make it out there to that bread in time. It's going to take over the kitchen while I'm in here, and I just thought, wow, I didn't really think that one through, did I? But that's how
So
we,
when we see Dorinda leave for a moment, we'll know she's in there
I
punching
may
the
have to
bread.
do that. So yeah.
It'll be okay, Dorinda. We'll let you. It's fine. You know what? It's all real.
Yeah,
This
and
is
the
real
point
life for
is
us.
there's so many things we intertwine into while we're homeschooling, and it makes sense, when our kids are busy and they're doing work, there are things we can be doing, and so we generally go do those things, and it just can get kind of messy, and that's just how homeschooling is. So,
Yep, it is. It is messy. And that's another thing that probably needs to be reminded. That it's not always going to be pretty and clean and organized.
yeah, and I love neat, tidy packages, and I'm telling you, homeschool is not that.
No, no. It's okay. So you had a question, Dorinda, before you go punch bread. Can you read that? You had a long question that you wanted to cover.
Oh, yeah. I had someone wrote that it was another burnout question. And I think we actually kind of answered it. She's trying to lighten her load. She's having a hard time focusing because she's feeling burnt out. It's their 5th year of homeschooling, and she's overwhelmed and a little envious of her mommy friends with that glorious 6-hour break each day. I've had like fantasizing about the kids getting on the bus and going to school, and yeah, I've been there before. But she says, I think about it and the end result, and I know I need to figure it out. She feels like she's bitten off more than she can chew, and the thought of putting them in school brings even more dread. And that's what happened to me. After I fantasized about the school bus and the kids going bye-bye, I realized I would be completely stressed the whole time they were gone. So, yeah, so you feel actually kind of like a caged animal. You're sort of like backed in a corner. You're panicking, you're overwhelmed, and you feel like you have no out. And so I think that's kind of how this mom is feeling. She's just feeling, she says she's feeling defeated. Have you ever felt that way? I think we've already talked about a lot of this, but just that whole simplifying thing I think is huge. I just go back to when I really have to simplify, other than tossing it out altogether, I would do something just like math and language. Just plod in the basics every day and don't worry about the rest right now until you regain some equilibrium. But I think a lot of the ideas we talked about earlier fit into that question.
All right,
So,
great.
yeah.
Okay, good.
I've actually been considering and looking for I have it pinned somewhere, homeschooling with Netflix or homeschooling with movies. And I'm thinking, I would really like to take a break. Maybe we're just going to start like watching a movie every day that, pertains to something, and
But you know what?
kind of wind down a little bit.
Some moms, and if you homeschool all year round, and even if you don't homeschool all year round, you can pull this off. Some moms only homeschool for 4 days a week, and that 5th day is that day. They do those fun, they either on field trips and they're gone, or they're doing videos, or they're doing something like that. So there's so many ways that you can switch it up and change it up and give everybody a break.
Yeah.
You just have to be diligent. You need to post that, Heidi. Give me the
I'm
link.
looking for that's what I'm looking for the link right now because it's been on my mind, and it's funny because I Homeschool Network just did a link up that I didn't participate in about homeschooling with movies, basically, or like movie,
Right.
and I was looking through some of the posts, and I was like, yeah, I really need to find. I have somewhere something about homeschooling with movies or Netflix or something to that effect, and
I've seen
so
one
if I
about
find it, I'll
with
share it.
YouTube. Have you seen the one with YouTube where they
Yeah.
just pick little snippets, little short little videos for their kids to watch about whatever, it could be math, math facts, or it was pretty. I thought that was a pretty cute idea.
Yeah, I really, we did last year. We did with my freshman in high school. I did a unit, well, a year's worth of United States history, but it was a kind of something that I took for a basis from and created extra stuff. And so we read extra books and we watched video
Of
movies.
course you did.
Of course I did. And you know what the best part was for me was some of the movies, like we watched Roots. And I mean, my daughter is still talking, and like she'll mimic the way that Toby talked in the movie, but because of that, she has this image in her head, and she remembers what the movie was about and so she'll remember that time period because she has
Right.
something that stuck with her, and that was one of the ones that really stuck with us from last year. And so I'm honestly really thinking that I'm feeling kind of fried and not thrilled with some of the stuff we're doing. So I'm thinking, yeah, movie, and I love historical fiction. I also think historical
Right.
fiction is a
I
great
was
way
about
to
to
do
say,
history.
Hinty, get them reading some of these
Yeah.
fantastic. We did that. We're dealing with, do y'all hear that? That's a cat. I just want y'all to know. Do you hear
I thought
that?
it was one of your kids.
It's a cat sitting right here. I don't know
Oh
what's
my
up with
goodness.
her.
Is that your cat?
It is. Yeah, you need to
That's
take
funny.
Precious somewhere. So anyway, Henty, we're doing Trisms this year for our history, and one of the things that you have to do is read a book a week, and we've been doing Henty books. And my boys came in and they said, Mom, this is too much. I can't we can't handle doing a Henty book a week. And so I said, okay, I'm fine with that. We'll back it down. And so this week we go into Trisms and we're looking at what we're supposed to read this week, and it's called The Dragon and the Raven, and it's a Henty book. And I'm like, well, y'all, and sure enough, they still wanted to read it. So I love historical fiction too, Heidi. I think that's one of my favorite things that we have stumbled upon in homeschooling is that historical fiction can really be a huge benefit to learning.
Well, I think too when kids make an emotional connection, like your daughter Heidi made an emotional connection to that
Right.
movie Roots, and that's why she remembers it, and she'll always remember it has impacted her for that reason. And so I think that's really an interesting thing to kind of keep in the back of our minds. That whole thing of that emotional tie to something.
And some kids are very visual,
Right.
and that's going to lead us to our next question, where they're asking, says, I just read a book called The Way They Learn. Any suggestions on how to use the learning styles, kinesthetic, auditory, and visual? And I said that right? Kinesthetic, yes.
Right.
Visual, and other learning styles in homeschool. So, I actually, we do very hands-on. I think that boys in general, and if I overgeneralize, somebody correct me, I really do believe that boys in general learn really well with the hands-on. And so that's what we've always done. And Montessori, which is how we homeschool, is very hands-on. So how do you implement that? Well, how do you use these learning styles? Well, obviously, auditory would be the videos like Heidi was just talking about, right?
Right.
I mean, so I know there's at least one Facebook group called Homeschooling with YouTube, or like Heidi said, Homeschooling with Netflix, or something like that, right?
Facebook group for that. Yeah, there's a Facebook group for homeschooling with Netflix for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there probably is for YouTube too, but I know that I'm part of the one for Netflix.
And there's a ton of curriculum out there that's video-based, a ton. What is it? SOS is video-based, and Classical, no, is it Classical Academic Press? It has a whole,
Yes.
yeah, they have a whole
we use their Latin, the Classical Academic Press. We use their Latin for which we love. We use Dive Science because it's video-based.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's a ton of video. We'll do a list. Let's do a list of video-based curriculum. And then for hands-on, well, there's Montessori, but hands-on can be anything. I mean, you can take a science book like Apologia and make it hands-on. It's very textbook. You can read it, or you can use it more as a reference book and do the experiments and then go back and explain the experiments. So, and visual, I guess that would be, a little bit of all of the above, right?
Well, how about
How do y'all implement them?
I put visual with video.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
audi for auditory, you could even would be yeah, books on tape kind of
Mm,
thing.
mm,
Hearing, listening, visual, like we talked about the videos, and then kinesthetic is truly hands-on, that you're physically doing the activity or working with your hands to learn a concept as opposed to watching it with a video or listening to somebody. I know my daughter cannot stand to be read to. My oldest, she does not retain anything. If
I'm not funny.
she can't read, and she doesn't retain anything, and that was from an early age. That
And yet
she's
she
not.
likes videos. Isn't that funny?
Yes, so she's more of a visual learner. She likes visibly seeing somebody, like and having that kind of interactive style of, because normally, when you're doing video-based learning, it might be a teacher on the video, but they're physically doing things and showing things, or they're writing on the board, or they're, whatever it may be. But yeah, so she definitely prefers the video-based. Just to listen to somebody, she doesn't do her any good. And my little two are much more hands-on. We've been doing apology of science, and the best part for them, and where they take in the most, is when we're physically hands-on
Mhm.
manipulating and creating something.
Yeah.
So they all
Yeah.
learn differently.
Did you want to share, Dorinda, on the 3 learning styles?
Well, first of all, I'm completely distracted right now because my daughter is sending really cute pictures of my grandson.
How sweet.
And videos that I can't watch till I'm done here.
How sweet.
It is really
Well,
sweet. And I
I
love
don't I
what's
don't have
that?
a grandkid either. Heidi joked earlier about she didn't have any grandchildren. I don't either. My oldest is 14, so not for me either. So Dorinda is like the ultimate mentoring mom. She's got the grandkids going on.
Well, I'm listening to all of this, and I'm just going to be real with everybody. 8 kids,
They're
I
all
don't know
different.
what's what.
Yeah, they're all
I,
different.
I kind of know what each one is, but honestly, as I was schooling them, I thought if I have to try to learn one more thing in order to teach these kids, I can't handle that. So I never did actually learn exactly, didn't nail down each kid. I mean, if something was obvious to me that, okay, he's not ever retaining what is said to him, then we know auditory is not their thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's about as far as I went with it. So, but I love hearing all these great ideas about, I'm thinking, I need to get on that little Netflix group, and gee, I'd like to figure out a little more of this. So I'm learning while I'm sitting here, learning from you guys. So I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
Well, we'll pull together some resources and try to post that either in the group or do a post. I haven't done a post. Heidi just went away. So she's there, but she put her picture up, so that means she's talking to a child. She's being real. But for me, I was supposed to get a post up last week, and I didn't get one up. So I will try my best to get one up this week, and I'll try to get some of these resources added to it.
Yeah, those are great ideas.
Ironically, we have a Janice has posted a couple of questions, and we will get to hers. But the person that you need to talk to is Heidi, who just went. There she is.
Ah, yay, she's back.
Okay, Heidi.
I'm here. We had 8-year-old meltdown next to me here, so
We
bear
have
with me.
a reader question that's popped in. Janice, I remember you from all the toilet paper rolls. Now you're gonna laugh, but I remember that post. I told you about not saving toilet paper rolls. I loved them. She had the cutest owl ones anyway, and y'all know how much I love owls. I'm the night owl. I'm the one that posts all the night owls. So anyway, she says, I'm very interested in trying unit studies. The problem is the ones that I have found had a bunch of books to try and find or buy. And then she said, I need to know how to add unit studies to our curriculum and how to find studies that don't send you 50 different places for resources. Thank you. Heidi, you're up.
Oh. I guess my first thought is that it kind of is the nature of the beast with a unit study, that you are using multiple resources. A lot of the unit studies that I find or that I use are based on a book or two, or so I guess we'll go back to what I always say: if you want to do a unit study, do a Google search for whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it be panda unit study, and normally you'll get something that pops up. But I don't know that there's a lot of unit studies I've seen that don't use a fair amount of resources. The unit studies that I put together, I usually find free resources, whether that be YouTube videos, whether that be free printables, things on the internet, and most of them also include a list of books that I have found that that we could get at our local library. Obviously, every library is different. So when I'm going to do a unit study, who do we say, Janice? When I'm going to do a unit study that I want to include for our kids, I'll usually look a week ahead of time and make a trip to the library to get a stack of books or videos of resources at the library, and then I will print out any printables that I've found and put them to, have everything together and ready to go.
But can't you buy them too? Can't you buy, does it CurClick or some of those places have them where you don't have to pull them together?
You do. There's unit studies where, yes, you can buy them, and they'll have some information. Like a lot of them will have like a small section of reading before you're doing something. That's true with a lot of lap books too. They kind of have like brief information. But for the most part, even if you're buying a unit study of some sort,
it's based on something. Yeah.
It's based on something, or you need more. To do a unit study and have it in its entirety, just like in a PDF or in that unit study, you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, because most of the time people are doing unit studies because they want to study one topic and study it deeper, and to do that kind of requires multiple resources.
Well, I saw one the other day. I was on Lamppost, and I happened to notice that there were a bunch of beautiful feet resources that were on sale. They were actually in their social studies clearance section. And doesn't Beautiful Feet do a whole lot of aren't those unit studies? Like it was, like the westward expansion was one of them. And that's just a unit study on the westward expansion. And there was one, I can't remember what the other one was, but there were 2 or 3 of them that were really great. That I love Beautiful Feet, and I love so I do unit studies, but I usually tend to buy them. I'm like Janice, I don't.
Well, you can buy stuff like Amanda Bennett does unit studies, and she has shorter ones for younger kids, and then she has ones that are more extensive, like 4-week-long unit studies, and a lot of that stuff is computer based. So So like you would pull up the PDF on your computer and you click the links. So like there'd be an activity, and then you literally can just click the links to the information that she's wanting to reference or use.
Okay. Yeah.
So Amanda Bennett.
She's looking for, Janice is looking for, if she doesn't want to go 25 different places.
So then you don't have to go to 25 different places. Yeah. You're clicking that link, and the link is taking you to some other resource that's and normally it's an open source resource. It's not something you're paying for. It's something that you can immediately see and read. And so Amanda Bennett does do that.
And we'll pull those resources together, Janice. It's going to be probably, I know Heidi does a ton of them. So one of them starts at 8. So she's already pulled it together. So I know she has a B unit study, several different unit studies out there that I've seen. So Heidi will be one of those that we will recommend.
Yes, I'm also preparing a how to create a unit study post for people that are looking for information and resources.
Maybe I should read that.
Yeah, it's on my list because we recently did a whole IHN hangout of about unit studies and creating and putting unit studies together, and so I have, and it's probably going to be another 2 weeks before I have that post completely together, but I am putting together a kind of a how-to guide of putting unit studies together, finding unit studies, that kind of thing. But I think that unit studies, by their nature, do have resources. If you're looking at elementary unit studies, there's ones like there's free ones like through homeschoolshare.com, and most of them are based on like a library book. like a lot of them are based on stories, or a couple of, of library books for elementary kids, which is easy to do, and they often include everything that you need from the printables or the lap book or whatever it is that they're featuring. So Homeschool Share has a lot of that kind of stuff free.
And doesn't 5 in a row, aren't they? They're a kind of a contained unit study to a certain degree. They just take one book and then go off of that book and have all these different ideas that you can pick and choose from.
That's true.
With whatever age kids you have, that's a really great one for the younger elementary kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that one goes through like 5th or 6th grade, doesn't it? I think
Yeah,
5
it
in a row
does.
does.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
awesome.
they have different levels all the way through. I did it as before 5 in a row, which is like pre-K kind of. I actually used it for pre-K. 5 in a row. And yes, you're right. It's literally, you get a book 5 in a row. It gives you all the kind of activities and stuff, and for whatever set number of books are in it, maybe 10 books, I don't know, whatever it is.
Right.
So all you have to do is have the 5 in a row book and those books that they're based off of.
Right, and I talked to Jane Lambert last year told her my little story about not doing it when the kids were little, and when my older kids were little, and now my younger kids, I ended up doing it with them and absolutely loved it. And but I didn't realize when I did it, but after I talked to her, she told me that she had so carefully chosen each of those books. They had to meet a certain criteria of art and content and all of that, and appropriateness and all of that. Her husband said, Steve, he said she came home with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books from the library, and she would sift through all of them until she got down to the ones she felt were really worthwhile. So if nothing else, it's a great book list as well.
I have heard fantastic things about 5 in a row. That is one that I have, and I didn't even know about those, y'all. I was so ignorant. We were Montessori and we did Montessori, and I didn't even know about any of that. I probably would have loved doing that because we loved to read. So I wish I had known about them back then. So yeah. I needed a mentoring mom.
Yeah, me too.
Dorinda, 20 years ago, that's what Dorinda needed.
I needed Heidi 20 years ago.
Okay, so
unit study thing.
Okay, so we have some folks that are popping in asking questions. So I'm going to read. I just did Janice's. We have another one from Ashley. She says, I have a 6-year-old boy who loves to give kisses. Isn't that sweet? She said, we were a part of a co-op, and he kissed a little girl on the cheek, and the mother freaked out. How would you handle that? Do you explain to a 6-year-old to stop kissing little girls so he understands? Sweet, how innocent.
That is, oh my goodness. Well, the mother freaked out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's so sad. I mean,
that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in, y'all.
That's the sad part. And maybe you could explain to him that it's very sweet, and she knows that it is, and maybe
personal space, yeah.
Maybe
I guess
personal space, and
it's question about the circle.
Yeah, it looks like one of those situations that could be just one of those learning moments, that we have when we're homeschooling. Just those life moments that you have an opportunity to teach them something. But certainly, and it doesn't. Obviously, the mom is fine with it. As long as she's not freaking out about it, that's great. We don't want to make him feel bad or feel like he's been inappropriate somehow. I think that's just ridiculous.
I know, but the way you could present it is just that everybody's different, and everybody has a different tolerance, and some mamas they don't know us or you, and
right,
really uncomfortable,
exactly.
And not make a big deal about it, and just say that mom likes personal space, and that's why until we get to know folks, we don't do that until we know them, because we don't know what tolerance is.
That's right, and that's a great way to explain it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm sorry, Ashley. That's awful. How sweet and innocent.
I know. I love it.
Okay, so Janice came back, Heidi. She says she loves the link-based idea. She said, I have 3 that had several books that I had to purchase because the library didn't have them. She said, I can't afford that. She said, thank you. She said, you ladies are the best and highly entertaining. Learning and laughter are a great combo.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
I totally understand the whole can't afford to buy a zillion books because we don't do it here either. I will
Right.
often, like I said, when I'm creating unit studies for myself or I'm looking at something, what I can get at my library is a big consideration because I too do not have the money, to buy, a ton of resources. But do check out Amanda Bennett because I think you might find it beneficial because she does have a lot of internet link-based in her unit studies. And so like I said, that obviously is a consideration, and I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, isn't there a link online where you can get library books sent to your library? Isn't there? What's that? There is, and I'm going to find it for you, Janice. There is a way for you to order them and have them delivered to your library and essentially be waiting for you, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll do some research on that.
I would love to see that.
I've been to our local library. Will do. I think is that an interlibrary thing where other libraries will loan it to them. The other thing that our library's done is if I go in and I ask for a book and they don't have it, because usually the books I ask for are old and they don't have them. So they will always say to me, and maybe other libraries will do this, but they don't actually say it to you. Ours does. And she says to me,
heavens forbid they have to do some work.
You can request them to purchase that book, and they've honored that request every time.
Oh, you're kidding.
Because they didn't carry Read for the Heart that has all the book lists in it that I wanted. And I knew that would be like a really good resource for a lot of homeschoolers in the area. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous that our public library doesn't have it anywhere in their system on all their libraries.
Oh, wow.
So I made that request, and they bought it and put it on the shelf. So
our library will often do that as well. There's also, for younger kids, for elementary books, I don't know if people have heard of We Give Books, but they have a lot of books online.
Okay.
The program, and it's called We Give Books, and they have a lot of elementary age books that you can view right online, which is great. It's a way
Kindles, y'all know I post a ton of free Kindles in our group. They're out there all the time. I just highly recommend that you preview them before you let your children see them because
you don't preview them
stuff gets through out there on Amazon. You have to be so careful as to your kids
that's why I usually go off the book list because I've taken some doozies home, and I'm starting to read them to the kids. Okay, we're not going to finish this book and put it, and it just kind of ruins that time, so just a little bit of planning or a little guidance from someone who's actually sifted through all of those is really a great idea.
I agree. There's a lot of book lists out there too. So
okay, now can I just ask a question? I'm not supposed to be asking questions. I'm supposed to be answering them.
Yes, you are.
Okay, just be honest with me. Am I old? Because I really love, I need the hard copy. I need the actual book in my hand. I don't do Kindle. I don't read books online. I don't do, so.
No, I'm older than you, by the way. Just so if you're old, I'm old.
But,
well, if wanting the physical book makes you old, then my teenager is ancient.
Okay, good.
She prefers it. She has a Kindle, and while she does use it sometimes, she is adamant she would rather have the physical book.
Okay, I feel better. Thank you.
And I'm I read a lot. I read on my iPad. Yeah, you're like, yes, I read on my iPad a lot. Because I have a mini, and I get a lot of ebooks. It's just easier to carry around for me. But I still love, like I said, I do use and read a lot of ebooks. I still love having the physical book in my hand.
Right. Well, y'all know where I'm coming from. I'm trying my best to downsize. I'm out here painting so I can get this house sold so we can downsize. And when we downsize, I'm literally going to have to give up books. And that's just unheard of. But I'm going to have to give up books. So we've really moved, and I can't keep my kids in books. Honestly, I couldn't afford to buy the hard copy books for all the books that my kids are reading.
Yeah.
What I was just thinking is that Amazon now has their, what is it? I think it's $9.99 a month, and they have tons of the Kindle books that have been free to you. Which might be an option for people as well, because obviously, you can spend $10-$20 on one book, and there is, and you can preview it at Amazon, obviously, and you can look at it, but I think it's like $9.99 a month, and there is just an insane amount of of books that are in Kindle
Yeah.
version that you can get, which might actually be a really great option for people who can't afford to buy the hardcover books, who
Yeah.
aren't finding them at the library or don't have access to it, because there are, I mean, not everything in the Kindle library
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
free with that, but there's a lot of stuff there. So that might be something that, you know, if people are looking for something, that they should look into at least.
That's what we're doing. We're doing a lot of the Henty books are free, you know, that we're reading with Trisms, and they're free Kindles. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing so many Henty books, because they are free. You know, they were written in the 1800s, but they're fantastic books, y'all. I can't even go tell you how fantastic they are. But I literally, I'm a book person too, but I have a Kindle, and I love my Kindle, and I use my Kindle. I took it to to the soccer game last night, and because my kids had, you know, practice and then a game, and so for practice I'm not watching the whole time. Now for a game I watched, but most of it.
I love the way she clarified that.
Most of it. I did. I have to admit, I did.
Before all the
But-
moms get up in arms, she has to
Yes.
watches the game.
I know, a soccer mom who's not sitting there watching the soccer game. Okay. No, I really did. I watched the game. But during halftime, and then also, you know, like I said, I was there for 3 hours. I left here at 5:15. Now I didn't get home until 9 o'clock last night. There was lots of opportunity to read in that time frame.
Right.
And I did.
Right.
So anyway, okay, so the last question, y'all, if we don't get to it, we won't get it done. It says, how do I get my kids, 11 and 13, to like grammar and English? Yeah, right.
You don't? Well, then again, that would mean you subscribe to the Heidi Saravola School of Hard Knocks, where, you know, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it.
That's right. They both
Um,
hate it, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it either. They both read and enjoy doing so. Today we did some grammar, and they don't sit still or pay attention. First year homeschooling and creating curriculum as I go. Bless her heart.
I have to totally agree with Heidi. You can't make them like anything, but like she said, the bottom line is they have to do it. My approach with this would just be to let them read for now, since they seem to be really enjoying it. Maybe let them read and have them write a short summary about what they read every day. And when they write that summary, you're handling spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, all of that. It just can be like a paragraph, or it can be a page, whatever you want it to be. And you're covering a lot of bases just reading and writing a summary. I've used that a lot with our kids, and I have really good writers because of it.
And she says she's creating her curriculum as she goes. I mean, she could even create a list of goals or things that she wants to have accomplished, or her kids to know. And then, you know, try and accomplish that through their reading. You know, if you're reading along with them, you can find examples of the things that you're looking for, within books. I know, like, we actually use a literature-based program for high school, and they take a book and then they teach a concept based on, because that's a book that demonstrates the concept. And I always really like that. So yeah, I mean, if they love reading, I would certainly, you could try and change your approach to be less grammar workbooky and more kind of in the flow. But I am, especially when it comes to nuts and bolts, like, with being able to express yourself through writing, which you need grammar for. I'm a stickler with the kind of nuts and bolts stuff. So to me, they don't have to like it, but you can certainly try and find ways that they might appreciate it more, and it might not be as much of a drudgery,
The fact that they love reading is awesome. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't have any venue to use to try to get them to learn language, but you have this benefit that they love reading, and so just go down that road. Take that approach to learning language, and they probably will be liking it a lot more. And they've probably had a fair amount, if they've been in school, they probably already had a fair amount of language, English type instructions. So I think a focus on reading and writing is essential. It's just such a great place to start, and a great place to just use as a springboard to learn the things that we need to learn in grammar and language.
We did it. We were so different. We were Montessori, so all of our foundation was done from a Montessori perspective. But we did it very, very differently. We had instead of having like a sentence and you sit there and you figure it out. We talked it through, like for the verbs, it was a red ball, and we were always hunting for the red ball. What's the action in this word? And it just made it so much more interesting. You could even make it Mad Libs. I've heard somebody recommend Mad Libs over and over and over again. Yeah, and
Yep.
using something fun that you. That's the thing that I really want to encourage folks to think about is you can win this battle. Every one of us have a little battle going on with our kids on some level about some topic, about some curriculum, but it may not look like what you thought it was going to look like. The path may be very different to get there, and that flexibility and being able to take off that perspective or that thought that you thought it was going to look like this, or you were hoping it was going to look like this. If you can take that off and sort of put that aside and be willing to follow them into a different direction or try a different curriculum or a different way of teaching it, I think you're going to find that that you're gonna find the way that they're going to learn it. It's just a matter of how much trial and error you have to go through.
Right.
And I know trial and error is miserable. I know it is. Lord knows.
It can be, yes. Hey, Trish, did you want me to share my media check-in, check-out system? We kind of had talked about it. Do we have time for that?
Yeah. What do you do?
Well, I got super frustrated trying to manage media at our house. This, as far as video games, and let me just preface this by saying every household is different. This is the way we are doing it. You might get great ideas from it. You might say there's no way that's going to work for me. But I thought I would share it anyway because I know it is a frustration for a lot of moms. When it comes to video games themselves, I just pretty much say no during the week. They can play on the weekends because it just got to where they were asking me all the time for that. And sometimes I'll use it as a reward. Like I've got our 10-year-old right now. He's doing twice the math and earning some Minecraft time today. And he is all over it. And I'm amazed at how much he can get done. We were dragging through math before. And now all of a sudden he is just doing it like crazy. So there's that. But what I did was I wrote up a little contract that our kids had to sign. And it basically, the media has to go in this basket. It can be checked out with this little tablet. They put in the time that they check out whether it's an iPod or a laptop or a tablet or whatever. Put the time that they took it out and the time that they put it back in the basket. And they can check out up to 45 minutes a day. They can't check out more than 3 times because I didn't want them checking out 5 minutes at a time all throughout the day because that's too much of a distraction. So 3 times is the limit. 45 minutes is the limit. They can't do it in the morning at all, ever, because that's chore and homeschooling time. They can't surf the net without asking, and they need to have somebody sitting with them if they're going to be searching, because sometimes they're doing a little research or whatever. I know some people have filters on their computer. We have some on some of our computers, and others we don't, so that's our rule for that. And if they break the contract, they have all media taken away for a week. They can't even ask or get on anything for a full week. So that's just how we decided to do it. I am amazed, though, at how many different ways they have tried to get around these rules. It has floored me. How did you think of that, And so it actually took quite a while for it to finally sink in that this is it. This is the way it is, So, and it made it easier for me too because I could just go, well, what does the contract say? Instead of saying, well, I said this or I said that, and them saying, well, I don't think you said that. I think you said this. I can say, no, it's right here in black and white. You signed it. You signed it aware of what you were doing. And so anyway, so that's just how we've been handling that.
Is it working?
It is working really well. At any given time, I can flip open that thing and I can see how much time they've spent on whatever during the day, whether it's laptop, iPod, tablet, because I would find them, maybe watching a little movie or something on their tablet in their room, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, does that count as media time? Yes, it counts as media time. So anyway, so that's just
there you go.
Well,
And every one of us do something different. Like I said, I actually have incorporated Scrafty into our homeschool
I
to
would really like to do that.
It's actually, I can tell you the one that I absolutely love is government, and I can't wait to see how they're going to do it. We're out of time, and I'm going to tell y'all a half a second about it. It is so much fun. So they're actually still playing Minecraft, but in Scrafty government, it's, for instance, right now they're in socialism, and they gave them a certain number of resources for them to build their house. Well, my kids were out there in creative mode grabbing this, that, and the other, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure all you can use is what they've given you, because that wouldn't be fair to the other family.
Right.
In the socialist perspective. They have had so much fun with this. Oh my goodness. So I'm just telling you that one is pretty smart. So if all the rest of the Scrafty classes are quite, that interactive and that fun and that where you're learning it on a real, in a real way like that,
Right.
they've got a huge hit on their hands. So
That's
anyway.
right.
But anyway, we're out of time. We're actually over time. So, okay, so I'm ending with, don't forget to go visit all of the moms on the Mentoring Mom Show. Heidi can be found at Starts at 8, and Dorinda is Simple Nourishing Home, and I'm Hip Homeschool Moms. My blog's dead right now, so don't even go over there. But anyway, we appreciate y'all being here. We appreciate y'all getting involved. And Ashley ends with, you ladies are awesome. Thank you for all you do. So
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, that's a great way to end. So anyway, we love you guys. And we'll see you again next week, same time. And y'all have a wonderful week. Talk to you later.